So one example of the Morari Way will be to introduce planets to kids. Planets, right? If you just go onto the board and write planets, it'll be very difficult. So in a Morari Way, we also want to provide relatable analogies. So how do we provide an analogies to planet? Or we just go directly and use accessible language. Oh, we tell all the kids, everybody put your suit or put your cape, to put your Superman or superhero, supergirl, superboy cape, and let's fly. Sweet action together. You're doing total physical response, and you fly right up to the sky. And as a student, where are we right now? They'll say to the sky. And then let's fly some more. Where are we now? Somebody will say we are in space. Let's fly some more. Where are we? Somebody will say outer space. And you say, let's go again. Go until you say, if we turn back and look at our house, what will it look like, big or small? Somebody will say small, right? Say, let's go again. Let's go again. Say, if we are so far, if we turn around and look at our city, look at our country, look at the earth, how would it look like? Then all of a sudden, you see planet coming into focus. Some will say, well, it will look like a ball, it will look flat, it will look like a football field, but it will be too far, it will look like a tiny dot, or something like that. Say, okay, if it look like a tiny dot, let's come closer. So as we're coming closer and closer to that tiny dot, how does it look like? Maybe bigger and bigger. And you say that ball that we once were on it. We once were on that ball, now we are so far away from it. That ball is our planet. And where we are, if we turn around and we look, we will see other balls. Probably we'll see the sun too. We'll see our own moon. We'll see other balls. And there's some criteria that qualifies a ball when it has its own gravity, that it pulls its matter up to like a round shape. Then we'll say it will qualify as a planet. And if the gravity is such that all other objects around its orbit around the sun, right, all other objects, asteroids, all other objects along its path is displaced by its gravity, then we'll say, okay, now it can qualify as a planet. So a planet, very round, like its own gravity will force it into a round shape, and then there's no debris, no particles, no obstruction along its orbit. Imagine our Earth was colliding with some other objects every day or every month in the course of it going around the sun. Disaster, right? So again, introducing a concept like planet to a child, to a learner, the Morari Way means you have to subject yourself to break the technical word itself, planet. And then use analogy, bring the kid to really see why we call these balls planet. And then now we come back to the technical word. That is a fancy way to call these balls that you can see having this shape. And we have them, and you go ahead and name some of them. So this is the sun. Closest to the sun is Mercury. And then we have Venus, we have Earth, we have Mars, we have Jupiter going away, we have Saturn, Neptune, and Uranus. So we got eight of them. And then later in an advanced class, we want to be talk about the Rhesus planet, Pluto, some other in the asteroid belt, and you can go forth and name whatever you want to name. So again, we want to really talk about the Morari method. We identify technical vocabulary, we use more accessible language to promote them, and we provide relatable analogies. We use accessible phrasing, right? We incorporate rhythm and pace. If you want a child to remember something, put it in rhythm and pace, right? So if you are memorizing, let's say your Bible verses, chapters, and you just put it in flat monotone language, it will be very hard for a child to comprehend. But when you put it in what? Wavy kind of language, rhythm. Once upon a time in a land far, far away, there lived 3 little pigs. So that our brain is just like spectrum frequencies. So when you speak with rhythm and pace, depending on the age, you can go slowly, especially from 2, 3, 4, and like that we increase the space as the learner progresses in their readership or in their scholarship, but not like as they grow physiologically, but as they grow psychologically. There's an age of a learner is how much content, especially leveled content, in that your progression. So we have like reading A to Z library of books. So if a child is 7 and they're reading at level I, and a child is 13 and they're reading at level B, guess who is older? The child who is 7 reading at level I is older psychologically, especially if your content ages you as you go on. And we have some of those good contents like our library that we promote, the Kids A to Z Morari online library, and also offline library on a USB stick. I have one here on the USB stick. Yes, I don't have one of those USB sticks here, but we've taken the online library, we put it in a USB stick, and we can use it like that. Okay, so again, the Morari Way. What's the Morari Way? Again, we identify technical vocabulary and we explain it using accessible everyday language. We provide relatable analogies, right? And we use accessible phrasing, and we incorporate rhythm and pace. We encourage student participation, and also what? We gather feedback and adapt immediately in the class. We gather feedback from students and we adapt. Sometimes you apply this method, a kid still did not get it. And sometimes we are so excited as teachers, it's like it's a performative experience as a teacher. You kind of like love your own delivery. But hey, no. Let the students give you the feedback for you to tell if your delivery is working or not. And then so we gather feedback and we adapt. And last but not least, we model effective communication. Like what we say, we demonstrate the teaching philosophy in action by consistently using clear, accessible language and an engaging delivery style. This models the desired communication to ensure effective knowledge transfer. Again, if we want to summarize the different pockets of where our Morari style could be applied, knowledge acquisition, right? And then skill development. So what is a skill? Is something that you can do, right? Or something that you learn, you acquire, that you can transform it, or you can reproduce it and generate value that you can turn into dollar or money. So if you learn how to cook and you know how to finish the process of cooking and selling that food and collecting money, then that's a skill. If you learn how to draw, you can realistically draw somebody in front of you on your canvas, your paper, and collect money, or the person appreciate that thing as something that they can pay for, then that is value. If you do any artwork that you can market, then that is value. So whatever skill you're learning is something that can generate value. You've mastered it from beginning to end, from start to finish, from alpha to omega, from A to Z, right? Okay, and then the third is your career. You choose a child's career when they're 3, 4, 5, 6. Or if your child is 11, then you better do it now. And then you do everything every week incrementally to get them to develop that career. Let's say you want your child to be a bone doctor, orthopedics, right? Then they should master all the 206 bones of the body. Probably every week you have a calendar of these bones. And then next you go bone by bone, the soft bone of the ear, and you look at the structure again. Every week, while you're doing your knowledge base, which is the first, we go to school to just acquire knowledge, non-fiction and fictional knowledge of the world and the universe, right? And that is general. It's increasing our all-around perspective, but you have a career whatever you do specifically in the future, not art, science, or engineering. It's engineering. What engineering? You have to break it down to the final career, right? So again, master, we do the pockets of where Morari Way can be applied is knowledge, skill, career, good character. Now, what is good character? Good character is better developed by some of the books that we'll be reading, and those books are books that come with a moral story at the end. And one of the best character is how to study, right? Develop self-study ability. So that's the first, learning character. Then we have our character at home, respect for elders, respect for our peers, just empathy and sympathy for others. Just develop that consciousness that this child is intelligent, smart in the head, and also emotional IQ, right? It's called the EQ, emotional quotient, right? So develop that also, and parents have to be on top of that. But more so, books with moral stories will better educate your child than you just giving them some life principle. But if you can do that with analogies, and also showing yourself as a human with flaw, not flawless parent, you show them where you also made your own mistakes and how you learn from them, then great. And then let's finish that with, so we talked about knowledge, skill, career, character, and then the rest is overall growth. What is overall growth? You might want to be an orthopedics, a bone doctor, but like, are you versed? Are you politically conscious? Are you spiritually conscious? Are you economically conscious? Are you socially conscious? So that is growth in some of these areas in the world. You have people that are in some countries where they have two political parties. Let's say America, there's a Republican Party and there's a Democratic Party. And then you have somebody who is so conscious, he's above the fray, where he donates money to the Republican Party, also donates money to the Democratic Party, and support good leaders. So that's somebody whose consciousness has risen above the partisan political fray and fights, and is operating at that level. Then in Cameroon also, we have religion, right? You have Apostolic Church, Full Gospel Church, this church, that church. And you have a lot of bickering and fighting, which one is better, as people go and do what they call hunt for souls, right? But then you have somebody who is above the frail of the petty differences in churches. They can worship wherever. If they travel, they can meet a church there and just worship the nearest church in front of them. They meet God's families, one big universe. Then you have people that, oh, you have friends, Chinese friends, you have American friends, you have Nigerian friends. You are not too chauvinistic when it comes to your identity. Either you say your color identity, or you say your national identity, or your tribal identity. You work with people from all tribes. So that is growth in terms of consciousness in the social area, in the spiritual area, in the political area. And it takes a lot of learning, a lot of growing to really come of age in that aspect too. So while we go to school to get our knowledge-based stuff, and our parents surround us with a lot of materials, at home, yes, please do surround your kids with a lot of material to grow even the common knowledge that they're learning at school. Then we have to also ponder into a foray of skill development. Again, skills are things you can readily transfer into monetary value. And then you want to also take good character, and then you have to choose your career, and then make sure that you have a mentor that mentors you every week. You're incrementally getting closer and closer to expertise in that career. Yeah, jack of all trades is good, but master of one is very great. And of course, good character, we mentioned that. Then overall growth. The Morari Way will help you in all these aspects, because in the Morari Way, we always find ways to get difficult concepts digested to us with great analogies and accessible everyday language, using rhythm and pace, so that the brain never gets tired while you are learning. All right. And the Morari Way has been discovered or invented by my very self, Nelson Chawanu. a Cameroonian Angolo child, an African global citizen, and speak Chinese, French, English, a little Russian here and there, Spanish here and there, and yeah, on my way to just learn a lot about the world, give back to us, and encourage kids of African descent to measure up to the plate and even take their rightful position as equal contributors, if not the best of the best, in making the world a better place. Ciao. The Morari Way.